I worked at a KOA campground for about 2.5 months last summer. I was 16 years old at the time, and it was my part-time summer job. I only worked 3 days a week. Pay wasn't the best, obviously, but I didn't care much because I didn't have any bills at the time, and it was easy for me to save up money. I worked the cash register and helped customers around the store with whatever. That right there was 90% of the job. I had other duties as well, but mainly that was it. About an hour before my shift was over, around 5 o'clock, I was getting antsy because I was ready to go home. It was Friday night, which meant no work the next day, and that I was probably going to hang out with some friends, like I did almost every weekend. Oh, and it was payday as well, which was nice. I was the only worker there and the only person in the store at the moment. Until a customer walked in. He was around 30 years old, I would say. He looked a little rough, but not like a thug necessarily. Maybe just trashy. His hair was short and blonde, and it was greasy. His clothes were raggedy, and in general he just gave me a weird vibe. Now, I'm not a judgmental person at all. I'm just trying to paint a picture for you, to help describe to you what he looked like. He was acting very suspicious as well. He kept looking at me and smiling while he was walking around the store. He went down each aisle at least 3 times, and he didn't get anything. I didn't know what he was doing, but he was giving me the creeps. I asked him if he needed help with anything. He said no, and that he was just looking around. That's when he came up to me and started hitting on me, asked me for my name, and told me I was really pretty. And he asked if I was from around the area. I told him I wasn't interested and that I had a boyfriend, and I also told him that I was 16. Well, he didn't care about that at all, nor did he respect my boundaries whatsoever, because he raised his voice at me and told me that he didn't ask if I had a boyfriend and that it didn't matter. He asked me what time I get out of work, and I told him 6 o'clock, which was only 45 minutes away. I don't know why I told him when he asked, but it was probably because I was scared, honestly. He was trying to get me to leave with him when I was done with work. He told me that we should go back to his place and get drunk and high. At this point, I was so uncomfortable that I firmly told him no, that he needed to leave right away, or that I was going to get the camp security involved. Surprisingly, he left the store when I said that, but I should have known better. I should have called security even when he left, because when I was done with my shift, I found out that he didn't leave. He only left the store, but he was waiting right outside for me by my car. He tried to grab me and put me in his truck, and I tried my best to escape. I slapped him in the face and tried to push my fingers through his eye, but he pushed me down to the ground immediately. When I fell, I picked up this really big rock that was the size of my hand. I got back up and he slapped me in the face. It kind of set me back a bit, but almost immediately after that, I hit him directly in the nose with the rock I picked up. And that's when he let go of my other arm that he had a tight grip on, and he started screaming in pain. This KOA that I worked at was in the sticks, and I mean it. It was really in the middle of nowhere, in a small town in Missouri, so there weren't many people around. So had I not have gotten that rock when he pushed me down, more than likely he would have successfully kidnapped me. And who knows where I would be right now if that was the case. The man drove away before I could get anyone to help me, and the police had a hard time identifying him. He was also in a stolen car, so they couldn't track his license plate. I hope karma catches up to him soon. I'm sure it will. I had a customer one time when I worked at a 7-Eleven get very upset because the line wasn't moving fast enough for him. I could hear him talking under his breath and sighing repeatedly, but I didn't let it get to me because I was sort of used to this kind of thing. The only thing that really sucks is that people like this guy like to take their anger out on us, the employees. Even though there was virtually nothing I could do, I was already going as fast as I possibly could. A lot of customers think that it's my fault when there's a big line or if we are out of a certain lottery ticket or a specific pack of cigarettes. Anyways, this guy and I kept making eye contact, and I could tell that he was growing increasingly angry the more time went on. When he finally got up to the register, he said he needed a pack of Newport 100s, and I said okay. As I was turning around to grab his cigarettes, That was when he said, "What did you just say?" I'm not sure what he thought I said or why he was trying to be a tough guy, but when I turned around, he was leaning over the counter with a pistol in his hand. He was pointing it directly at me, all while trying to hide that he had a gun from the customers behind him. This was literally at like 9:30 in the morning, so it was broad daylight, and he didn't have a mask on or anything. He told me to give him all of the money from each of the cash registers, and that if I didn't do it in less than 30 seconds, that he was going to kill me right then and there in front of everyone. One of my co-workers that was there witnessed the whole thing from the corner and quickly called the police. I tried to stall as long as I could without making it obvious, in hopes the police would get there before he took off. We weren't supposed to have more than $200 in each register at any given time, so I highly doubt I handed him more than $600. I was told by the general manager when I got hired that if anything like this were to ever happen, to make sure I give them the money and to not put up a fight whatsoever. So that's what I did. When I handed it over, he ran out immediately with the money and cigarettes. He ran straight behind the gas station and ran all the way no more than half of a mile through a trail that led to his apartment complex. The best part about this was that he thought he was going to get away with it. I live in Ohio, and this took place in the middle of winter. There was over 3 inches of snow on the ground, and he left footmarks that led all the way straight to his apartment door. He was arrested and taken to jail only 20 minutes or so after the whole incident. I cannot believe how incredibly delusional some people can be. Somebody that would do something that horrific and not think their plan through ahead at all is definitely unsafe and an unpredictable person to be around. The man must have not even thought about how he would leave footmarks in the snow, which might be scarier than him robbing the store altogether. That guy is a joke, and I'm happy that he got what he deserved. I've been working at Walmart for 2 years now. Ever since COVID, our store hasn't been open 24 hours. We close at 11 o'clock every night. I was behind on my closing schedule and I didn't realize it was already 11:15. I had a few closing duties that I have to get done every night before I'm allowed to clock out and go home. One of which was sweep and clean my area. I work in the electronics department, so it was my job to tidy everything up before I left. I went to the back and grabbed a broom to sweep my area up. It only takes me about 15 to 20 minutes to close every night, so I try to get it done as fast as possible so I can go home quicker. I was zoned out listening to music with my headphones in my ear, when all of a sudden I felt the presence of someone near. I looked up and it was a man looking directly at me, with a very weird and crooked smile. "Hey," he said. "I've been trying to find a worker for over 10 minutes now. I need you to get me a game from behind the glass door with your little key or whatever." "Will you please help me?" he asked. "Sir, how did you even get in here? We have been closed for a good half hour now. I'm sorry, but you need to leave. I can't help you right now." This man wouldn't take no for an answer, and he was definitely trying to guilt me into doing it. And I was getting annoyed, so I got the game for him and let him purchase it. He thanked me and walked away. Jeez, what a weirdo, I thought. What the hell is wrong with people? I was just happy because I thought he was finally out of my hair. I should have escorted him out of the store or found backup though, instead of just trusting him to leave on his own. 15 minutes later, as I was getting ready to leave and go home, I saw him staring at me from across the store, hiding behind some clothes. I acted like I didn't see him and I tried to find someone that could help me. I looked all around for any of my coworkers, but I couldn't find anyone at all. I must have walked around the whole store twice. I actually ended up just giving up and not telling anyone about what happened. I walked out to my car and was about to start heading home. There were only like 3 cars total parked in the dark parking lot, and it was raining hard, so I did a light jog to my car in my attempt to stay as dry as possible. When I got to my car and I opened the door, the man from the store was sitting inside in the front passenger seat. "Dude, what the?" I said. I started cussing at him and told him to get the hell out of my car now, and that there was going to be a problem if he didn't get out right now. He looked at me with that same weird smile that he gave me in the store earlier and said, "Fine, I'll get out of your car, sir. I don't know why you were being so rude." He stepped out of the car and got into what I assumed to be his car, which was parked right next to mine. He stared at me through the window until I took off. I backed up out of my parking spot and sped off quickly. Luckily, he didn't follow me. I have strongly considered quitting my job after this incident multiple times, but I've never had the guts to actually do so. Also, I started locking my car door anytime I go anywhere now. I don't know why, but in the past, sometimes I would leave my door unlocked, as I didn't think it was super important. I never thought anyone would try to get in my car and steal anything or anything crazy like that at all. I've actually seen the guy since, once or twice in the store while working, and he's left me alone both times, and he hasn't harassed me at all. I'm not sure what he was doing or what he wanted, or how he even knew which car was mine in the first place. I just don't know. I've let the whole thing go, and I've never told anyone about it at work either. I worked at a Speedway gas station for about a year, just over 5 years ago. I've had some really strange things happen to me there, and I've also witnessed some pretty bizarre things as well. One day when I was working, it was around noon. Usually we were pretty busy around that time, but this day in specific it was quite slow. I most definitely appreciated it though, because I was so used to it being extremely busy. While I was helping a customer at the register, I couldn't help but notice a customer that stormed in through the door all angry and upset. She was yelling at whoever she was on the phone with. Not only was it rude, but it was also quite annoying. I mean, she was literally cussing someone out, and she was not being quiet about it at all. She was borderline screaming, which was extremely uncalled for. And she was saying some of the nastiest things you could imagine. It was just not acceptable. So I ended up putting my foot down when it was her turn to check out. She was giving me some serious attitude and being incredibly rude to me. She gave me this nasty look and started telling me how I needed to hurry up. Mind you, she had over 10 items that I had to scan, and I was doing just fine. She was just being impatient. I kept my cool though and kept my mouth shut for as long as I could. But when I saw her put a lighter in her bra and a beer in her pants that she was attempting to steal, I lost it. I told her to give me the items and that she needed to get out of the store now or I was going to call the police. That's when she stormed out and threw a huge fit. This lady was acting like a 5-year-old child, but she was at least 40 years old. On her way out of the store, she was throwing everything around off the shelves and just making a huge mess. "You want to call the police? There you go. I'll give you a damn reason to call the cops," she said. Now what she did next, I don't think any of us could have been ready for. She ran out of the store and got into her car. I thought she was going to speed off and drive away. But quite frankly, she did the opposite. She backed up and rammed right into the front of the store and drove right through the front door and the window. I started freaking out. I was the only employee there at the time, so I didn't know what to do. I couldn't believe my luck, but a cop just so happened to pass by only a few minutes after she drove through the front of the store. She was still in her car in a sort of a delirious-like state when the officer arrived on scene. Unfortunately, our CCTV had been down for the past few weeks at the time, but luckily a stranger had recorded the whole thing with his phone and showed the police. The woman had a warrant for her arrest already as well. She was also caught with crack cocaine and drug paraphernalia. When she crashed her way through the door, she almost hit an elderly lady head on. Luckily, she didn't hit her directly, but she hit one of the shelves, which in turn hit the poor old lady and knocked her down. She was rushed to the hospital and it nearly killed her. I don't know what the hell was going on through that woman's head, or why she thought that was necessary. I just have no words for it. I actually quit my job there the very same day, as it was all just too much for me.